Entering the atmosphere in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast from OmegaMetroid.com. My name is Andy Spiteri, joined by Doominal Crossing, Dakota Lasky. We are a couple days removed from Metroid Prime 4 launching. We have all had, most of us have had a lot of time to to sink some hours into this game. How are we doing on a regularly scheduled Monday recording night? What's going on with everybody?
Pretty alright. Yeah. Vacation's about to come to an end, which is, it's unfortunate, but, all the vacations have to come to an end eventually. I have officially beaten and 100%ed Metroid Prime 4. I am now living in a post-100% Metroid Prime 4 world, a time that felt like it would never come, but it is indeed here. It is past now. It is past tense now, which is very bizarre to think about.
Very nice.
But, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I am the fake fan here. As of recording the last episode, I have not gotten any farther in the game. I'm still right outside the ice belt. I was just telling the guys before the show that I have had an incredibly busy weekend, and previous week. So this was like, if only Prime 4 dropped a week earlier or after, I'd probably be done with the game. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So, but I'm fine with that. I'm okay with taking my time. Through it. I waited how many years for this? I don't think I need to beat it in a week. So.
Yeah.
I'm a little far behind y'all, but I plan on catching up significantly throughout the remainder of this week. So looking forward to that.
So update on my side. I have 100% items, pretty much 100% scans, and I'm ready actually. So after this podcast recording, I'm gonna go eat dinner. I'm gonna go and do the dishes. And it's time to lock in, and we are going to finish Metroid Prime 4 before my vacation, unfortunately, ends tomorrow or tonight, I guess, as well. And I'm back to the grind tomorrow. So yeah, I'm very excited. Just generally speaking, I know there's been a lot of discourse. I'm really enjoying this game. We'll see how the ending goes and if it sticks the landing or not. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty chipper. Just had my Christmas tree up, so I feel like in the mood. I feel like the holiday spirit is upon me. So really looking forward to tonight and just kind of finishing that off. And made some really, really good progress on our walkthrough, which I am thinking is going to be... Some of it is going to be published this week. I think we'll have all the expansions up for everybody. Working on the map, but I think we'll have that ready to go too. So yeah, a really, really good weekend. Lots of fun discussion, lots of fun Metroid Prime 4 gameplay on my end. Had a pretty good time, and I'm really excited to talk about the second act of this game today, which is of course Volt Forge and Soul Valley. Soul Valley, probably one of the biggest talking points about this game, I would say. So and obviously that is primarily where you use Viola. So lots of cool stuff to sink our teeth into here today and talk about. So I'm excited to get going on that. And I guess without further ado, we really should just get going. Although I do want to say really quickly, there is this rockin' Metroid Prime 4 Samus figure available for pre-order. What is this? Chogokin, is that right?
So I believe that's a line of figures. It's from Bandai. Unfortunately, it's insanely expensive because it's based off Japan, and already it would be expensive. But obviously, with tariffs here in the States, it's not exactly helping the price side of things. But I of course, as the insane Metroid fan I am, I did of course have to pre-order it. At most places, it's going to be about $300 after shipping and taxes are applied. I think IGN store it's like $330, so I actually would recommend avoiding getting it from the IGN store. But there's a bunch of other retailers where you can get it. I think GameStop, CD Japan, Hobby Link Japan also has them as well. That's where I got mine. I think it added up to about $270, $280 after mine was done. So yeah, it's a sick action figure. It's complete. It's die cast. It's completely made of metal. It has LED lighting, so it's like a really premium, high quality action figure. But yeah, unfortunately, it is quite expensive and not feasible for most people. But hey, if you are a little crazy like me, it's still up for pre-order.
I'm taking like the $40 amiibo instead, like my mini little statue. That's all I really want to shill out for. But very
even
cool.
the amiibos are expensive. Like if you get all
Yeah.
three of the Metroid Prime 4 amiibo, that's $100 right there. That is more expensive than a Switch 2 edition of Metroid Prime 4 for
Yeah.
all three of the amiibo.
It definitely is, and I will say, because I collect the Metroid and Zelda amiibo. The amiibo have definitely come a long way since like P-Stick Link and the original Smash Samus. Like, but it is a hard cry to go from, like, I remember when those launched back in 2014, they were like $16, and now they're 40 for the Silex amiibo. So it was crazy expensive, but they do look good. I have to give them that. They do look really good. All right,
Yeah,
well,
they're actually less than that. They started off at $12 before they went up to like 15, $16.
well, Canadian, okay.
I think I remember way back, I on eBay got like a bunch of random amiibo, like I want to say like 8 or 9 of them for like $50. Like just random
go.
ones, and that like characters I didn't even care about. But I was like, oh, this is cool. And now you can barely get 2, I think, for that price. So
Yeah, I have a couple amiibo that like I don't necessarily care about either, but I do remember like when they first came out, I was kind of in like the phase where like I want to get them all. So like I would see some of the more rare ones and I would like buy them. Like I have a couple Fire Emblem or like Ivysaur, Ice Climbers, guys that are like I like them, but like, kind of, whatever.
I started out not wanting to get them all. I was just like, I'll get the Metroid amiibos. I'll get the Captain Falcon one. That looks pretty cool. I gotta have the Mario Brothers, obviously. And then I remember I saw it was like Diddy Kong. I think I saw, and I was like, and that was like one of the super hard. That was one of the rare ones to get. So I was like, oh, like gotta snag Diddy Kong. And then I think Mario Kart got the amiibo support as well, and I had already 100% of the game, so I'm like, well, I got to collect the rest of the amiibo so that I can really get 100% in Mario Kart 8.
You have to keep spending the money.
Exactly, and it went downhill from there. Now I've spent probably over $1,000 getting all the Smash amiibo.
That's insane to me, man. I think I hit my threshold for plastic junk a long time ago. I can't. There's no more buying it. I got the Ridley amiibo. I think it was the last amiibo I got.
You're
you know what? I
smarter
will.
man than me.
I will. No, I'm not, because I spend my money on other stupid things. But I will say that I probably will get the Silex amiibo just because like the fact that a Silex amiibo exists at all is pretty cool and it looks pretty dope. But like I'm not dying to get like the Samus and Viola one, even though that one is also cool. But if I'm gonna pick one, I'm gonna pick Silex.
It is pretty cool that Silex exists. I know we're going to talk about the game here, but I do want to shout out really quickly as well. Like the Metroid series, so I collect Zelda and Metroid amiibo, and like the Metroid series does a really good job of giving you non-Samus amiibo. Like there's a lot of Samus, don't get me wrong, but like you look at like the Zelda amiibo, and if you subtract, I bet you, someone can fact check me, but I bet you like 70% of all of the Zelda amiibo is either Link or Zelda. Like, that's it. And some of them are pretty cool, but there's a lot of them. Like, I remember they did that 30th or 35th anniversary amiibo, and it's just like 4 or 6, actually, I think, different renders of Link from various games. And I was like, oh my god. And I bought them all because I'm a sucker, but
I thought they were pretty cool.
You know what? They're cool like on an individual level, but then I just got like a dozen Links on my shelf, like I feel like for me it would have been really cool instead of Link from Skyward Sword to have Groose from Skyward Sword or Midna from Twilight Princess, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
you know
a Midna one would be cool. I agree with that.
There is the Wolf Midna
there was
one, to be fair.
Yeah, I was about to say
which I have, but something else from those games instead of like just Link. Even a hooded Zelda with the sword would have been pretty dope. I digress. Anyways, we're here to talk Metroid today. So we left off last time. We had just left Fury Green and gotten our first teleporter key, and we are kind of off and into the wild here. And so we now go to the Volt Forge, where we are building an integral piece of our adventure, which of course is Viola. So Start like first impressions for Volt Forge, I guess. Like, I think the very, very first thing that I noticed, two things. One, as we've said before in the trailers, I love the look of this place. It totally reminds me of the Matrix, where like all the machines have like the humans in pods, and that's like the real world. Something about the way that the spires and the lightning works, I think it looks really cool. Second is like, this has the most pronounced like music I think in the entire game. It is like in your face all the time.
Yeah, we were talking about what were you saying, Doom, last time? How like the scan visor. Yeah, and I was like, dude, it's his lifesaver in the Volt Forge. The music just doesn't like stop. And so at some point, I'm like, give it like it's sometimes like, I like the vibes, but like sometimes it's a bit much where it's like really going the whole time and doesn't let up. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna jump back into the save station or this the save room or the psychic visor just to give myself some reprieve.
I'm in it to win it. I was locked in. Technically, before you step into the Volt Forge, technically you do get a little snippet of the Soul Valley, because you have a little malfunction in the pod, and so it doesn't crash, it doesn't go where it's supposed to go.
That
so
is true. Yeah,
you have to do a little bit, get just a little taste. Obviously, we'll save most of that until after we talk about Volt Forge. I'm gonna be real. This is like a top 10 contender for all time Metroid areas for me. I love the Volt Forge.
Really,
I love the
really.
Yeah,
really.
I love the Volt Forge. I love the design, love the music. My favorite piece of music is actually not the main theme that plays after you unlock Viola. It's the which is also a fantastic piece of music. But I love the piece of music after, or when you're on the outside, when you're powering up the stations. Right after you power it up, it plays this really funky track, and the electric guitar, like, it really mixes well with like the lightning that's coming in. You got your classic choirs from Kenji Yamamoto as well. That's my favorite piece in the Volt Forge. But like everything on display is just absolutely fantastic. I will say, and this is something that I'll talk about more with the other areas, it is very similar to Fury Green, where it does feel very point A to point B. There isn't a lot of opportunities where rooms will loop back around each other. There's no like main hub areas that has like 3 or 4 or 5 different directions that you can go in. It is very much like a single path without very much divergence. I think it's a little bit different in Vault Forge, because you have 3 towers that you can do that with, rather than having it all condensed in a single area. So I do think at least that aspect works a little bit for me. Yeah, overall, like, I had so much fun. Also, some really clever puzzles in this area as well. I don't know if you want to wait to talk about the puzzles or if you want to get into that now, but there's one puzzle that, like, was stumping me for like 10-15 minutes, and when I figured it out, like, when the lightning bulb moment hit me, like, it actually, like, blew me away and gave me a laugh, because I'm like, that is like one of the funniest solutions I've ever seen. I love that is an actual puzzle in this game.
Yeah, we can get there in just a quick sec. I guess I'm not surprised to hear that it's like a top Metroid area for you. I would say I think that this is like a really strong area. I think that there's a couple areas that I like better in Metroid Prime 4, but I kind of am on the same page with you. I think the music is a little bit like it could use a little bit of a come down, because like sometimes it's just like, this is for all the Office fans out there, but sometimes it's like Ryan and Gabe partying with James Spader, and they're just like, dude, we gotta stop. Like, that's what I thought of, like, listening to this soundtrack sometimes. But other than that, like, I really like the music. Like, it does kind of set like that really cool tone, and I think the theming is really cool too. Like the big like industrial factory to make Viola. I love, like, I think the layout is really cool with, like, the towers. I do agree with you, Doom, and I would say that pretty much for almost the entire game, actually, is it's really just kind of like a straight sequence, which I actually, I'm think, like, if you were to ask me right now, I'm going to say I don't mind that. Maybe that'll change in a little bit, but I really don't mind that, actually, upon thinking about it, but we'll come back to that. One thing that I thought was, like, so awesome in this place, and we can save it to get Dak's initial thoughts, but like, I loved the racetrack, dude. I loved this racetrack. It was so awesome.
Yeah, I definitely won't say this is one of my favorite Metroid areas for sure. Vibes wise, yeah, I think it looks fantastic. I love the atmosphere of the level. I do like the racetrack stuff, though I have some comments on that. I like the whole theming of like you're going through the area to like not just restore power, but also build the viola. I did get a laugh when you do finally build it, and it's like you got to get your driver registration, and I'm like, okay, sure, whatever.
I love
Going to the
that.
DMV. Obviously, getting the viola is cool. I think the level design is probably some of the worst I've seen in a modern Metroid game in some time. It is very, very lacking, in my opinion. Like it's almost like it's essentially like the pirate like tower areas in the original Metroid, but that's it. It's just the towers. Like you said, Doom. There's no like hubbing, like branching out. You're kind of just all right. You go to this tower, you go up and down. You go to the next tower, you go up and down. You go to the next tower, you go up and down. It left a lot to be desired there, and I was pretty. Once I kind of left it, I was like, oh, that was it. Okay, cool. So I think like there's a lot of cool gameplay stuff in there. The puzzles, some of the enemy encounters, like the when you're restoring power in like the morph ball tracks to go all the way out, and like you're going all the way out into the abyss, like in the clouds and whatnot, to take care of those. Like that's cool. But the level design left a lot to be desired. So I would definitely not say it's. I think that probably brings it down for me. But the rest of it was pretty cool. If it had stronger level design, it would certainly be up there for me.
Hey, see, I really enjoyed like the verticality because you don't really typically get that in 3D Metroid. That's mostly
Hmm.
something you see in 2D Metroid, especially like some of the earlier 2D Metroids. And I don't know if that was intentional, it's intentionally a throwback. I'm gonna assume it's just a coincidence, but that's kind of what it reminded me of when I was traversing these towers. And so on that level, I do appreciate it. It is a bit of an issue throughout the entire game, and it definitely did weigh my opinion down a little bit of it, but I kind of appreciate it in the areas where I think it does it well, and then I just don't appreciate it in the areas that don't do it as well. And this is one where I just happen to really enjoy it. And sometimes you can get away, in Metroid with, a fairly straightforward point A to point B gone. I mean,
Hmm.
phase on Mines in Metroid Prime is essentially that, and it's one of the end game levels too. I think that does a fantastic job at that, and I would say the same here.
I think Phase and Minds kind of branches and circles back in on itself a bit more than this area does, though. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like I think I could see what you're saying. Like even for me, like I'm looking at the map for Phendrana, and like it's a straight shot, like too. Like there is more interconnectivity, but I guess like again, like if you ask me right now, like that's not bothering me. But I'm gonna kind of go in the middle of you guys here, and I want to preface this by saying I think of the three of us, I think it's fair to say I'm probably the highest on this game so far.
I
Do
think
we
so,
think that?
yeah.
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 Um, I think what is not helping the level design for Volt Forge specifically, and for the game in general, is I think the map is a mess. The map design is horrible. I've always hated the 3D map. It's super unintuitive to use, and in an area like this where you do have verticality, it is crazy how unintuitive that map is. Because like you either have to look at it from like you can't look at it from a bird's eye point of view. You have to look at it straight on or angle it, and like you can easily get lost. Just like what floor am I on? I think the map is just a mess.
Normally I would say you're overreacting. I actually do think this area it is a bit of an issue. There are several times where, I can't tell if I'm looking below the floor or above the floor.
Hmm.
There needs to be some way to like make the orientation a bit more obvious
Yeah,
for some of that verticality. So I actually will share your criticism there.
I would critique Phase on Minds of the exact same thing too.
I I also agreed that I don't think you're off base, but I don't think Phase of Minds is even remotely as bad as this one. I mean, this one I felt like I was kind of like I just stopped bothering with the map because it was it wasn't. I'd rather just like I'm just gonna figure it out because
Yeah.
it can't be that complicated, and it wasn't. So eventually I just stopped looking at the map. I kind of just like, all right, well there are three towers. I'm gonna go up or down, and I'll figure it out. There's only so many ways you can really go.
Yeah.
So, um,
I,
but
I'm
I
I'm
agree, it
gonna
is kind of clumsy.
well, I'm gonna say this too because this is a critique I have for the entire game. So I guess I might as well just say it now. But like, I think the map is just like so bare bones that it is just like, what are we doing? Like, this is a Metroidvania game. Like, we have no legend to tell you like what the different colors mean. Like, yes, you could probably just piece it together yourself, but like having a legend is helpful. There's no like there's markers, but you can only put a couple of them down in Soul Valley, as we'll talk about as well, like where I would like to be very specific. So I think like the map for this game really in general is like just subpar, and I don't think any Metroid Prime games have really ever nailed the map, and I really honestly think it's because they use that 3D map, which seems really cool and it's a cool effect, but like practically it doesn't work. So that's my
I agree with that. It definitely makes, and I share your sympathies when it comes to the guide, because yes, it does make the guide challenging. I agree with that, but in terms of the gameplay, other than
is that weighing my opinion?
Forge,
maybe.
other than Volt Forge and maybe like a couple of very specific scenarios here and there, I've never really had an issue with it. And similarly here, I didn't really feel the need for like a key or like something to map the icons. Would have been helpful, sure. I didn't really need it. I was actually really appreciative of the pin system, because in Metroid Prime 3 there was a similar one with I think they called it the bookmarking system, but you can only put one bookmark down at a time, which was just like useless. But in this game, you have an infinite amount of pins that you can place. You can only do one pin per room or one pin per hexagon on Soul Valley, which definitely for Soul Valley, which there's several things in some of those hexagons that can be a little inconvenient, but not really something that bothered me personally. I more so just appreciated that there was no pin limit this time, and so I was abusing those all the time. Anytime I saw like an item or a missile expansion or a door that I knew I could open, I'm just like, yep, putting a pin in that. We'll come to that later.
Here's the gripe I have with Volt Forge. Here we go. Nobody asked, but I'm gonna give it to you. They give me these cool racetracks, and they don't give me more. I wanted more racetracks. I wanted to race the robots. I didn't want just the tutorial. I wanted to be able to like set like a best time and like do races and whatnot. Like I was like, oh, it's very funny because like I think we've joked. I don't know. I joke in the Discord of like what funny modes there would be in Metroid, like a dating sim or whatever. Mm-hmm. It never ever crossed my mind that like I would be like on a racetrack in a Metroid game ever. So I think the novelty of that is not lost on me. But after those 3 little tutorial stages, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna be able to like run a race or get a high score or something, and it didn't give it to me. I'm like, oh man, it's right there. So I thought that was very funny. I think that was pretty cool. It was a neat little way to kind of introduce the viola and get people accustomed to it. I was just kind of like after the 3rd level where you go around and you like shoot the robots or whatever. I was like, okay, now put them on a bike or whatever and let me race them. They didn't give that to me, so I would say that's my biggest gripe with Volt Forge. I wanted more racetrack, more racing.
It's your $20 Metroid Prime 4 DLC.
I was gonna say there's the DLC. 100%.
I was gonna say, guys, like I don't think that is impossible. Like out of if you were giving me Samus percentage, I would have it like 20-30% or something like that to say like there's going to be racetrack levels that are added. And I would be totally fine with that because I thought they were a blast. And I know that we kind of poked fun at like, the DMV going to get your driver's license. But like in the context of this game, like it sounds like basically every Lemorne has a viola. So like it actually does make sense that there's like certification courses, right?
Which is odd to me because the bike is very clearly built for Samus and not for the Lemorne. It felt like to me, like when I look at a Lemorne, I'm like, I guess they could ride a bike, but it's like morph ball tunnels. It's so very made for Samus, who's never been here before. Like it even has like the slot that fits perfectly with her arm cannon. Like, don't Lemorne have like, I don't know, I guess they only need, I guess the other two arms.
They see that
fine,
she can morph down, and that's how they know she's the chosen one. Okay,
but yeah,
you're
exactly,
right. You're
exactly.
Right.
This isn't just any Viola. They were manufacturing the Mark Vs, but this one was the Mark 7. This was the one specifically designed for the chosen one.
Is that are you joking with me or is that real?
I'm just BSing you right now.
Okay, because I do remember it being called the Mark 7. I was like, did I miss that? If that was the case, then I'd be like, okay, you got me.
I would have totally bet on that if you.
I believed you. Yeah.
I could like actually though like legitimately see like extra racetracks being added, even as like free DLC. Just like maybe just like a couple of like a handful of courses that you could do like time trials on.
Or-
I would
or-
totally do that.
And I know we haven't gotten to to Soul Valley yet, but you know, because like I mean, to me, as far as I've gotten in the game, the only way you and I guess I'm not wrong, but I could be wrong. Where like the only way you can get from area to area is going through the desert. But like to me, I think it would have been really cool if there was like an underground like tunnel system or something that connected them a little bit, so you could take the desert, or there was like a racetrack that connected all the areas, or these different tunnels that you could take. I guess that maybe would defeat the purpose of the desert, but I thought that would be like kind of a cool way to implement the racetracks again, where you had like a big track and like each area was like a pit stop or something like that, or you had like a really quick like track to one area to another, as like, you know, kind of a way to just quickly get somewhere. I thought that would have been cool too.
We'll come back to Viola obviously when we get to Soul Valley, but I do want to say I think that there was like a decent amount of challenge in this area as well. Like I fought the Shocker Cybot, and like I thought that guy was pretty tough for like where I was in the game. Like I barely escaped with my, I thought I was gonna die actually, like when I was fighting this guy, and I was like, I am not dying in Metroid Prime 4, which is ironic because then I died on a puzzle like shortly after that. But I was kind of happy with the challenge.
Do we count deaths as falling off? Because it doesn't. You don't get a game over screen, but I did fall off a couple times in this area.
I don't count that as dying.
Okay,
no.
okay. Then I didn't. I've only died once in my playthrough so far.
I'll tell you about the puzzle where I died, and then Doom talk about your puzzle. But there's one section where you have to basically like activate a bunch of platforms, and the platforms rise up.
Oh, yes,
and,
that was a good room. I like that room.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I could not figure out what I needed to do. I was jumping on, and I was like jumping to the other platform, and then you have this bot electrifying them, and I'm like what do I do? Like, do I just do I have to jump over the electricity or something like that? And I kept on jumping, and I fried myself and died, and I was like, oh my god.
Oh, you couldn't have gotten that out of me.
That
truth.
There's a lot of things in this playthrough that. So my last scan is literally the scan that you get as soon as you start the game. So I mean that says probably everything you need to know.
I technically only died once, but I got 2 game overs. One was because during one of the NPCs died on me, but my real death is actually really funny. It's also in Vault Forge, but not during the initial trip. So I was coming back for a missile expansion, and I totally forgot how much damage the Cybots do, because I'm used to like just tanking everything in Metroid Prime. This game you can't quite tank as much as you can in the regular trilogy, so you definitely have to be doing a little bit more dodging and weaving. But I totally forgot about that. And then all of a sudden,
go ahead.
And all of a sudden my my health warning goes off, like, hey, you have less than an energy tank left, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't realize I was that low. So I figured, like, okay, you know what? My control beam, I'm gonna freeze time, and I'm gonna hit all 3 of them at once.
Yes.
So I'm hiding behind the door, pop it open, immediately activate the control beam. I fire it, and literally as the beam is moving in slow motion, I see instantaneous one of their beams just immediately zap out. And just immediately I was like, well, I'm about to die. And like, sure enough, 2 seconds passed by, game over. And it was just really funny just seeing that beam just go boop, like that. but no death screen. But the death screen delayed a little bit. There was something really funny about that. So that was my big death in the area.
We haven't gotten to it, but mine was in the what's the ball boss called? Zelios.
We'll get to Zelios in a second. I have a lot to say about Zelios.
That was my only death, was on Zelios. But to go back to what you just mentioned, Doom. I will say that I do like in this game how like there have been multiple times where I've kind of just been approaching encounters like the usual Metroid Prime way, and then forgetting I have the control beam. And then that kind of like unlocks, like, oh, this is actually what I need to do. I need to kind of finesse it with the control beam. So that is cool. And it is. I actually like using the control beam. I thought that was going to be something that wasn't going to be as fun to use, but I do like it. It is fun to throw into a little bit of a combat scenario or to solve a puzzle. I do like it.
I agree. I wasn't expecting to like it as much, but I just have this thing where there's puzzles and I just like don't think to use it a couple of times until I'm just like, oh, duh. But speaking of puzzles, Doom, what was that puzzle that you really loved?
So before I go into it, like another thing I really love about this area, and it's funny because like the area right after, which we'll talk about next week, does the exact same thing. But I kind of like that they both do it in different ways. But basically, the way that Volt Forge works is that with at least with the first two towers, basically they're deactivated or they're in low power mode, and then you basically have to go all the way to the bottom, activate the power, and then when you come back up, it's like a completely different area now. Everything's powered up, all the machinery's working, and it just gives a brand new context to the area and the rooms that you're in. And you're basically, even though you're going through the same rooms, you're traversing them, like completely differently. And so I absolutely love that. And the room not right after, but like a couple rooms after you activate the power in Tower 1, it's where the actual bodies of Viola are being assembled, and the arms are like moving everything. They're dormant when you first go in there, but when you go to your second trip, the arms are moving everywhere. But you did a giant free fall to the area, so you can't just get back up normally. And I was stuck here for it was probably only like 15 minutes. It felt like an hour though, because I was just racking my brain around and trying to find something to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I know that the exit has to be here somewhere because the game has locked me off, so I can't go there's only like a few rooms I can check, and it feels like this is the right direction. And I was trying to like stand on top of the arms, like, oh, maybe the arms can carry me up, but the game was very clearly, there was an invisible wall that was clearly pushing me off there, so I'm like, okay, it's not that. But and then all of a sudden I noticed the wheels of the motorcycle were kind of like morph ball size, and that was like no way, that can't be it. But I went into morph ball mode, and sure enough, that was the actual solution. It picks you up and it tosses you into the discard pile. That is one of the funniest puzzle solutions ever. That actually got like a legit laugh out of me. And so that was like, and it felt really satisfying to solve too, because it's not something I would expect in a Metroid game.
That's like the kind of stuff that I think Metroid is like good at in terms of like funny stuff. Is like, you go into morph ball mode and the things start throwing you around, tossing you around. That kind of stuff I really appreciate. I think is a lot more effective than maybe other ways of conveying, little goofy moments in Metroid. But yeah, I agree. I love that little thing. And then at that point, I think someone even mentioned in the Discord, they were trying to figure out how to get out of that area and not realizing that like one of the windows was like open, so they're like jumping around in the room for a while, not realizing they can just jump out. I love a lot of the little ideas that are in this area that are just like that. They're fun little gameplay moments, and they stack up a bunch in this area. Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, I thought that, like, I really liked the whole sequence. Like, I'm pretty high on this level. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it was like a top Metroid area, but I thought that it was really strong. Later in game as well, and we'll do an episode kind of talking about like some of the final pickups and stuff like that, but lots of really like fun expansions to come back to and grab as well when you're kind of fully powered up. But so you progress through the level, and wouldn't you know it, Silex appears, and we have
like literally just appears, like just like,
he just shows up,
it just floats down. I'm like, oh, okay.
He shows up and just starts aura farming right off the bat.
He looks awesome. Like, this looks great. We've all seen it from the trailers, and we have our first boss battle with Silex. And at this point, I'm kind of thinking like, okay, I guess we're doing like the Dark Samus kind of idea, where you're going to fight Silex multiple times in the game, which I don't think it's a spoiler here to say is the scenario, but with a twist. So, you were talking a couple weeks ago, Dak, like you wanted Silex to kind of feel like Silex fighting him. I wouldn't say that this fight was that. It was a really cool fight, though. I will also say he really used a lot of melee combat, which I thought was cool too. He'd get like right up in your face and swing and whatever. I really like that. Does kind of make you wish for like a melee option back, but I digress. But there wasn't like any of like the lockjaw, there wasn't any of the shock coil, nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna say I do like I think it feels like a more modern Like that's kind of not that I expected it, but like that felt good, like in terms of like, oh, this is a fun Silex boss battle. Like, I mean, he's
Yeah.
doing kind of the classic like Metroid boss thing, jump in the air, land on the ground, shockwave comes out, dash at you and do an attack. You gotta get out of the way. Fine. All of that I think is cool. I love how he like incorporates like the big swiping at you. I was like, it's a cool boss fight, but it doesn't feel like, I mean, I guess it wasn't Silex, but it didn't feel like Silex. I was kind of like, all right, what am I gonna get hit by the shock coil? And then and again, I have not gotten super far in the game. Maybe it's explained later, but why is the Silex not Silex thing doing this weird like green tornado attack? Like that to me, I was like, what? Why? Like, why not just have him do the lockjaw? Like, he has the thing. He has the. It almost like, to me, it's like, did they know who this character is? And they were just like, they either don't know or they don't care. Like, we're just gonna do something different. But like, the lockjaw is so cool, and I almost want to say that there's another enemy encounter that has like an attack that's similar to the lockjaw, and I was like, why is this character not? Why is this character doing it and not Silex? And I don't know, especially in the Volt Forge, which is all like electricity and all that kind of stuff. You would think, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fight Silex. I'm gonna have to dodge these traps he's putting down. He's gonna shock me, and then he's like spinning at me and whatnot, like a top. I thought that was very like such a strange choice. I did not understand why they did that, and maybe it's explained later, but it was very odd to me.
Well, I thought that attack just looked pretty goofy in general. I didn't mind the strategy though, because it gave me an opportunity to use the morph ball bombs as moats, and that's actually like a really effective use of that during the attack.
That's cool.
And so,
that's a great idea. I literally just rolled around and bombed.
I was gonna say, you don't even have to do that because he immediately targets you. You just spam the morph ball, and he just will go right into them.
That's a great idea, though. Yeah. So like. The boss fight I thought was good. It didn't feel like a Silex boss fight. And again, like, my thought is, like, you're fighting Silex this early in the game. Clearly they are going to hold some stuff back and save it for consecutive fights. But I do think, like, the obvious comparable here is, like, the first two, really, Dark Samus fights. And I would say the first Dark Samus fight for Metroid Prime 2, I thought felt stronger to me than this fight. But then, like, the fight ends, and Silex turns into a robot, which is, like, super weird. And I haven't beat the game, so Doom, don't tell us if there's an explanation for this. I'm hoping that there is, but
I was okay with that because this happens, like, I believe when you get into Volt Forge or just after this, there's a cutscene where, like, the Chrono Tower, like, a big force field goes around it, and this is when the Cybots start like attacking you. So in my head I was like, oh, something must have happened, right? Like, Silex must have gotten to the Chrono Tower and it locked itself down, and now it's sending out all the Cybots to like go and attack any kind of threat, and then maybe Silex like hacked the Cybots, and that's why they're going after Samus, and that's why one of them looks like Silex. So I was okay with that. That was this. I think I said this on the show last Saturday, where there are things about the game that I question, where I'm like, why did they choose this design wise? And there are aspects of the game story wise that I was like, okay, like, this is going to be revealed later, I hope, or there is an explanation for this, and it makes me question it in a good way that way. So this was one of those moments to me where I was like, all right, there's going to be an explanation for this that I'm sure is interesting, because otherwise, why not just send a Cybot at me like normal, like it's already been doing? So there has to be something that happened. So I was okay with that. I think really just the biggest thing was like, we haven't fought. I mean, I know it's not really Silex, but we haven't fought Silex in 20 years, and I was like, all right, give me this Silex fight, and maybe they're holding back, but why is he spinning around?
I feel like that, to be honest. Like, I new attacks are totally fine, but you do want some of like
I want to fight this lockjaw.
Yeah,
the shock coil. Give me like Silex is the shock coil and the lockjaw. Give me those two things, then you can do whatever else you want, as far as I'm concerned.
And that's the thing. Obviously, like, we want a ton of new attacks. I mean, Silex can only do so much in Metroid Prime Hunters, and like there is a lot of really cool attack. Obviously, I'm not going to say much else, but obviously, Dak, you're going to fight Silex at least once later on. There are some more attacks that I think are very cool and very Silex-esque. This little top spin attacks is not one of them.
Which I guess makes sense if it's not Silex, right? Like so.
Right.
So
I guess.
we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I still don't know, so we'll see where it all
Yeah.
ends up. But
It's something that makes me curious, which is a good thing. So I was just like, it was a very, I was just, I guess like at the moment when you fight him, you don't know that it's
Yeah.
not Silex yet. So I'm just like, what is he doing, man? It's
Yeah.
not even a good attack. Like I'm bodying
Yeah.
you, and you're spinning around, dude. Like get out of this mode and start, fighting me like legit, But if it's
very
not really Silex, that's fine.
Tasmanian
Yeah,
devil.
Silex
Yeah.
just played the Topman's Tower in the new Switch release of Mario Galaxy.
Well, there you go. So I left that boss fight, and I was kind of like, that was interesting. I didn't know quite how I felt about that. I will say though, luckily, you get to so you get your driver's license, you get Viola, everything's great. You go off that really awesome ramp from Tower 3 to Tower 1 too, which was cool, which we saw in the trailers. And then you get to the Zelios boss fight. This fight was awesome. This fight was so great. And you know what this fight was, guys? This fight was a Metroid Prime 4 recreation of the Chirodon fight from Metroid Prime Federation Force, which is the best fight in that game. This fight was
crazy.
so awesome. Like it's a super simple premise. It's a sphere. It's covered in plating. You have to shoot the plating out and fire at the innards. But like, man, I thought this fight was like so great. It's one of like the best boss fights that I've fought in this game still, in my opinion. And I really enjoyed it. Like I thought this was really strong, which makes sense because I like that Federation Force fight too.
Yeah, I
and it's really
agree.
Yeah, really cool use of the lock-on free aim as well. I thought like that was a really fun way to incorporate that in. So you're not just locking onto multiple targets. You're like specifically trying to like, shoot out all of the armor plating before it regenerates, before you recenter again. I thought that was like a really clever way to do that. I feel like Zelios really starts off a chain of like killer boss fights throughout this game.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree. I think I mean, it's just a big ball, but they made it like an interesting big ball to fight, which I was pleasantly surprised with because, I hadn't been very impressed with the limited boss fights we had fought previously, which weren't many, but this one like was very cool. It was a pretty like classic like in terms of design like Metroid Prime boss. Maybe it would have been cooler if it wasn't like just a giant ball that is like a faceless ball, fine, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was a fun boss fight, and that is where I had my one and only death on this run so far. So, and that was really because, like you said, Doom, like I'm very used to just like tanking everything in Metroid Prime games, and I just didn't realize because I'm not going for 100% run either. Like I only had a couple, energy tanks. I was like, oh, I'm pretty low on this, and I ended up dying. So that was fun. I like this boss battle. Definitely one of the highlights of the game of what I've played so far.
Yeah, I was just like really, really impressed. Throughout this game, there is so much like homage to Federation Force that it is. This really feels like a reclamation project of sorts for like that game to an extent, and like seeing this boss, I thought was a great, just kind of like homage to that boss in the game as well. So, really, really strong way to end the initial trip to Volt Forge, I thought. And then we got the key. And we are off to Soul Valley, and we are exploring in Viola, in the desert. I'm gonna start off and choose violence here. I think so. Get your mics ready. I think Soul Valley is awesome. I really, really like Soul Valley, and I like it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I really like the scale of Soul Valley. I think that it feels daunting. Like if you get off Viola and you just walk around, this place feels gargantuan. So I think that that's really cool. Number two,
I'm sorry, what was that? What was that word you just said?
What did I do? Gargantuan. Gargantuan.
Gargantuan.
It's really,
Gargantuan guys. Open the schools.
it's really goddamn big.
I'm
Okay.
just repeating what he said. Don't look at me.
Okay. I'm not letting that one go by because I haven't been on the show and he's saying like decals and other nonsense words. I'm sorry.
Listen.
I won't allow that. I won't allow that here.
Listen, you American punks. Okay, we googled this, and that's a very Canadian thing to say. Decal. All right. Deckle the
I'll
halls.
okay, that's all right. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead with your violent take.
So my violent take is, so like I was saying, I love Soul Valley. The scale is awesome, and this is what I particularly am anticipating some pushback with. But like, I really like that it's just like a desert and it's just empty. Like, yes, there's pockets around of stuff for you to find, which I do think is really cool as well. But I think like thematically, once you learn a little bit more about the game's story, like I think it's like it really works. Like the sense of like emptiness and like loneliness and desolation. It's and it's got this really creepy horror movie kind of music that plays, which I really dig as well. Doom, you could probably talk more to that, but it sounds like something that plays when like you're hearing an ominous flashback or something like that. Like it's really cool, and I think yeah, like obviously like riding around on Viola, I think is super fun. I think Viola is a blast, like just like drifting around and smashing into crystals and stuff. I don't love combat on Viola. I think it's just okay, but which actually kind of makes me wish that there weren't enemies in the desert like at all, except for like the sea seals or whatever they are. I really like finding like the little outposts with all the kind of stuff and puzzles, and I love that there are shrines. We pitched this on what would an open world Metroid game look like. I think I literally said they should put shrines in with expansions, and that's basically what they did. And I think they're really cool. And my only gripe is I do wish that was a few more shrines.
So I do agree. I like the shrines, and I like that it's not just missile expansions too. It's stuff that's gonna power up the shots later. And I don't want to get too much into that, but there are some really cool ones. There's some real. When you get like the super powered ones for at least the thunder shot later on. I won't go into spoilers, but like the final upgrade you get for the thunder shot is absolutely wicked. I was very much abusing that during the final boss fight. So yeah, the shrines are very cool. I think the desert sucks. I'm sorry. And it hurts me saying that because I was so optimistic. I was like fighting the haters when trailer 3 came out. I was like, "Oh my gosh, everyone's overreacting. This is ambitious. This has so much potential." And I real desperately wanted to come out thinking that, but I thought that desert was just horrible. I thought it was boring. I thought it was a huge miss. It didn't work for me at all. And there's several reasons why. Obviously, and God, I hate regurgitating the criticisms, but I genuinely do think it is just an openness of nothing, which for the actual vibes and the atmosphere is cool, but for the gameplay, it doesn't offer enough there. Controlling the bike in and of itself is really fun. I love the way it handles. It's basic, but there's just enough there to where, it's like, it's fun. There's a lot of fun physics and driving mechanics there, but you can only do so much of that in an open space before it's like, okay, well, that's it. And the bulk of what you're doing is the crystal collecting, not the shrines, which again, I love the shrines. The shrines are awesome. The crystal collecting is boring. That is awful. I am not at all a fan of that. And the game, it does give you some tools later on to make that a little bit easier. It doesn't make it very easy though. It feels like an absolute slog. And
dude, I think I've spent like 3 hours drifting into crystals. I love it. I don't know, man.
I'm happy. I'm happy that you love it. And I wish that I could join you in that happiness, but I don't. This I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty low point in the game for me.
Yeah. I think if like you don't play other FPS games or games with vehicle combat, this is probably like the bee's knees for you, which I feel like is the case for Andy. But as someone who plays like FPS games, games of vehicle combat, racing games, driving games, like I 100% agree with Doom. It is so very bare bones and basic, and it's like a cool novelty at first. And trust me, when I first got out there, I'm drifting around like, oh, this is cool, and then like you realize like that's it. Like you're not scratching the surface. Like you've hit the top right there. My biggest thing with it is like I understand it's a desert, but man, it would be at least so much better if there were just more enemies out there. So at least I could go around and run into stuff and attack things. Like there should be things roaming around, and there should be big things roaming around and small things and groups of things. And the fact that like you barely run into anything, and when you do run into something, you immediately run into it and kill it because you have auto aim on the bike, and it's like it dies in one shot. Like I think like they could have. I still think, as much as Viola is cool, I think the game would have been way better served if you were controlling Samus's ship and doing stuff with that. It would have been way cooler to be in the ship. It would have been more Metroidy. I think you would have had more options. It feels very bare bones. I wish like there was more to do. I wish there was more to do on the bike. I wish there was more to discover. I do appreciate like the emptiness to a degree and like the vibes of that, but like at the end, like I'm sorry, but I can't. This game can't rely only on vibes. Like it just can't. You know that for me. Eventually the gameplay has to like get me going, and it was almost like, all right, I'm doing this because I have to, and not because I want to. And I would rather just be able to, like I said, like if there was a racetrack or something like that just brings me to the next area, I'd almost rather do that. There are a couple areas in the desert that like have these cool little jumps or whatever. I'm like, the desert should be like a more stylized desert or something where there's way bigger up like valleys and things to go off of. Just something. It's like a very, very like first drafty minimal aspect to the game that is such a linchpin, like crucial part of the game that I feel like there needed to have been way more going on. So yeah, I'm gonna pretty much agree with Doom.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting like, and I was kind of expecting like maybe like a mini Halo Infinite almost, where like the Federation outposts are gonna have like soldiers there. Maybe you come there and there's like a space pirate battle going on. You come in, you help liberate the fight, and then maybe like you create a base. There's none of that going on.
Yeah,
it's and again, the shrine puzzles, a lot of fun. I really enjoy the shrine puzzles for what they are. But like the Fed outposts, they're like the most bare bones basic puzzles to get like missile expansions and eventually mech parts. And yeah, I left that completely underwhelming. And I think another one of my ultimate biggest critiques of the game, and it kind of pairs with the desert, is that and I think this is another reason maybe why you, Andy, really resonate with this game, is because this feels more like a Zelda game to me than a Metroid game. And I love Zelda, but when I'm coming to Metroid, I'm coming here for Metroid, not Zelda. And the openness of the desert combined with the point A to point B level design, it takes away a huge part of what I get out of Metroid, at least. Again, the overall package I'm still having fun with, but a huge part of what I get out of Metroid, that needle in the haystack, and reworking a path, and coming back to the place that I was originally at and recontextualizing that environment, so much of that stuff is missing, and a lot of that is due to the hub world nature of the desert. And it would be one thing if I really enjoyed the hub world for what it is, but I don't. I hate the hub world, unfortunately. And so it ends up being a huge detractor for me in that regard.
So I kind of expected both of you to say this, and you're probably right. It is very Zelda. Like it feels like Ocarina of Time, like Hyrule Field, and I mean Chrono Tower is Lon Ranch, and then you've got your Death Mountain, Kakariko Village, Kokiri Forest, whatever. I just like, for me, like I play like enough first-person shooters. I don't play a lot of them. I wasn't interested in combat.
Let's not lie here, Andy. Hey, what FPS games are you playing other than this one?
I don't know. Like I played.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Like I'm not gonna say I play them like all the time, but like my point is, like you're talking about combat. Like I just, for me, I wish there was no combat in this desert, like at all, because I don't think the Viola combat's very good. So like, why do it, right? But like, again,
that's
like,
fair.
Well, hold on, let me finish. Like when I play Metroid, I don't come for combat. Like combat is like totally whatever. Like I come for exploration, I come for puzzles, I come for expansions, I come for the atmosphere. Like that's what makes a large part of my enjoyment of the Metroid Pie, right? Like combat, I mean, I don't think Metroid Prime has ever really had deep combat, and frankly, like none of maybe Dread, but like whatever, right? So like that I can overlook, and that I feel like, yeah, like Viola combat, it's it's just it's okay at best. So I would have just got rid of it like totally. I do think that's a fair critique that like there's nothing going on any of the outposts or anything like that, but I don't know. I think like just thematically and I get what you're saying, like vibes don't make up, like the game's got to meet the vibes, but I feel like the vibes are really strong. The only thing that I would have liked for the desert is actually for it to like be nighttime there, because I think that would have been really cool as well. And like, yeah, maybe you could have had like, maybe you could have gotten rid of like the annoying birds and like the drones and stuff, and maybe put in like a big, like a Molduga from Zelda or like whatever, some kind of enemy, like sure. But then again, like combat isn't fun on Viola, and maybe that's like the thing, like maybe it should be. I think it's passable, but I don't know. Like I enjoy it quite a bit.
I think
so
too. Like,
regards, I'll let you go first.
No, go. I demand that you go ahead.
I'll take your best shot.
Mine's gonna be a little bit longer. You go first.
I'm just gonna say that like, ultimately, like while I'm not necessarily playing Metroid for the combat specifically, Metroid has combat in it, and like if I go to like a 2D game, like how often are you just walking through an empty room with nothing happening? There's at least something to shoot at, something to avoid. Like I can maybe think of like, you know, like Criteria or something where it's just like a kind of a big room, but like even that room you can get across it in 20 seconds. So like or like where your ship is parked in Super Metroid, right? Like that's like, it's not like a desert that it takes you 20 minutes to get across. So like even in the 2D Metroid games, we're like, yeah, okay, the combat's not super great, but at least it gives you something. There's something there's an engagement happening, and I'm not just like holding forward and doing what amounts to nothing. I agree that the combat from the Viola could be stronger. Yes, I would add that to my list of gripes, but I think like even if the combat is not that great, give me something to do with it. You know, if you're going to put it in there, give me something to do with it. If your argument is, well, it shouldn't be in there in the first place, okay, fine. But then you got to give me something else to do. And there's only so much driving around aimlessly that or drifting into crystals that I'm personally going to enjoy. Like, I feel like it would just be, even if it's like simple combat, if the place is teeming with enemies, at least there's something happening and I'm not just kind of holding forward, which is really what this area amounts to, is holding forward.
So this will be the last critique that I have to say, and then I'll just kind of leave everyone be. But
and then we'll all admit that Soul Valley is great.
But in regards to the vibes, yes, I do like the vibes. Unfortunately, a lot of that is kind of crushed by being on a really fast-paced motorcycle. Like it really, I think the vibes are really great when you first land there, right before Volt Forge. Like that, I think is like honestly, I think that's Soul Valley at its best, is right before entering Volt Forge. But yeah, once you're on the bike, you lose a lot of that quickly, and I think a huge part that would redeem at least that somewhat for most players is to have some music playing in the background. That's right, we're talking about the amiibo.
Don't get me started on this. Jesus H.
No. I'm sorry. I got to rant here.
This is an insane
you know
argument. But go
no,
ahead.
Hold up. Hold up.
Ahead.
Because I originally was when I first heard this complaint, I thought it was you know more the same rage bait complaints that we got here. And then you know what? I actually tapped the amiibo and I tried it for myself. My goodness. I'm not gonna. I have the same critiques for the desert, but my goodness, having some actual music to play with the racetrack theme specifically when you're going through the desert, night and day difference. Completely changes the atmosphere for the better. Again, same critiques, but like I was having a noticeable more enjoyment just having that type of music that fits the atmosphere of riding a futuristic space motorcycle through the desert. It is asinine that this feature is locked behind an amiibo. I will die.
I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing that argument. I'm sorry. I'm just not. When did we become crazy here? Like, okay, if you want to live in a world where amiibos don't exist and like you think like everything should be in the game, like I could hear that argument. But you know what? Amiibos exist, and if you're spending $40 on them, like we talked about, they better add some kind of value to the game, and that does. And I'm sorry if you don't. Now let me finish. If you don't like it, that you don't have a radio on your bike, listen to some music on your phone. I don't know what to tell you, but like there has to be some value. Let me finish. There has to be some value to the amiibo that you purchase. I'm not going to hear this argument about like this should be included in the base game. It shouldn't. I'm sorry. It shouldn't.
It should be, no. I think that's egregious, man. Like I agree that amiibos should give you some value. But if the feature is something that should be in the base game, then I don't agree with that.
So does
Especially when
this add value to the base game?
It's
I
adding
would
value
say
to the base game
for
by
me-
taking it out of the base game and then putting it back in under a $30 paywall.
for me,
Having a
the
radio
addition of
on
that
your
music
space bike
noticeably
adds nothing. Nothing.
the music for
Then why
It
did you put it in the
it actually
amiibo?
takes away from the atmosphere that you
Then
were
why would you
that
put?
you were
You
making.
just said wait. You just said no. Hold on. You just said that the amiibos should have some kind of value, and then you just said having the radio in the game is no value. Then why is it locked behind the amiibo?
Let me rephrase. It should have like some kind of like added value, but not something
I
critical
agree
to
with
the
that.
enjoyment of the game. Which a radio on your bike, I'm sorry,
We're
that's
saying
not
it
that.
is. We're saying it is.
Yeah, for
We're
me,
saying
for
it
me,
is
it was.
critical to the enjoyment of the game.
For myself, that
There's nothing
music
playing.
made a noticeable effect, a noticeable positive effect on my enjoyment. And you know, I'm going to counter that because the game also does have a good example of unlockables that are also related to the bike. The Viola skins, those are exclusive to
Yes,
the amiibo. You
great.
can't unlock them any. You can't unlock them
That's
any other
fine.
way.
That's
And
totally
no
fine.
one's complaining about
That's totally
that. No one's
fine
complaining
because
about
that's a
that.
nice,
Listen.
that's nice added value to the game. But you're not going to be able to tell me that something that should be in the base game should be paywalled behind a $40 piece of plastic, especially when that thing is directly contributing to my enjoyment or not of the game. I'm sorry, but that is egregious.
I think if,
what
like,
are we
listening
talking
to a
about? I got to
radio
pay
on a bike-
$100 to really enjoy this game.
No,
That's crazy.
If listening to a radio on your bike is going to, and you know, I respect
it's
what you're
not
saying.
listening to radio. It's just
Let me
music
finish. I
at
respect
all.
what you're saying, but I think it's ridiculous, Doom. I think that's ridiculous, and I've heard other people say
Bro,
that.
you're 2v1 here, man. I'm sorry, but
I don't
you,
care. I'm
you have the
powerful enough for
ridiculous
both
opinion.
of you. Okay.
You have the ridiculous opinion here. I think it's
Okay,
it's
hold on.
crazy
Let
that
me
the bar
finish.
is so
Let me
low.
finish.
No, wait. It's another sentence, but I think the bar is so low that we're willing to have basic features that should be in the game. We're okay with spending another $40 to unlock that. That's crazy to me. I mean, that is really crazy to me.
Okay, you know, we're gonna move on after this, but like that is wild to me that you are sitting here saying that the critical feature of this game is
I'm
being
not saying
able
it's
to listen.
critical.
Let me
I'm saying
finish.
that it's
being
part
able
of
to
my
listen,
enjoyment of the game.
Let me finish. Being able to listen to a radio while you're on your bike. Two grown men are sitting here telling me that is
It's
vital
just, it's
to
not
the
like
game.
the rate. It's like
That's
having
crazy to me.
You're gonna make a whole portion of the game have no music.
It's not like it doesn't have music, and as I said,
Bro,
I feel like that really adds. We'll agree to disagree. I think you guys are nuts, and I don't know what kind of
think you're
world
nuts,
we're living
man.
in here, where it's just like
I think
every single
I'm not
thing
even,
should be. That's okay. I don't. Let's not.
I'm not
let's
even
just move on.
disagreeing that the amiibos shouldn't have value. I think the skins is a super great way to do that because it's a nice added value thing to the game.
So
But
is a
if it's
radio on
something
your
that's-
bike.
No, I don't.
Yes, it is.
You,
Let's move on.
You keep playing
Jack,
radio in the bike. It's the
let's
game
move on.
music, man. It's not a radio. It's the game music. But fine, fair enough,
I mean,
man. If you want to
Yeah,
spend your
yeah,
money,
GTA
I mean,
GTA
it's
6
literally
if you want to
buy
spend,
a radio.
if you want to spend more of your money on this game, go right ahead, man.
I
That's
just
totally
at
fine.
what
GTA 6,
point?
GTA 6, you
my
gotta
s-
buy the $50 amiibo to unlock the radio in that game.
That's what I'm
At
saying.
what
Like it's
point,
crazy.
though, are we
I
just
can't
like
believe
what
that
should
there's
be
an
included in the
argument.
base game and what shouldn't? Like
That's
and
like it's
anyone,
like
yeah, where's the argument for like, oh well, skins should be included in the base game? Like at what point does
skins
that
are an
stop?
alternative that you like. All right, if let's okay.
It's a radio.
The comparison I would say to that is if Samus was in the game and didn't have any texture, and then you had to buy an amiibo to have her have a power suit that had texture on it, that would affect my enjoyment of the game if it was textureless.
Again, we'll agree to disagree. I think the music is cool and like really adds to the atmosphere. I wasn't expecting to get in a big argument about the amiibo here, but like I just think that's an outrageous take. Like,
I just think that it's
just
gaming
like
has gone so far where like things that should be in the base game, we're okay with them being behind another $30 paywall. I'm like, you know what? That's why the gaming industry is where it is today. Because
okay.
gamers are so willing to be nickeled and dimed over things that they should already accept being in the game, but they're okay with it because it's a cool, funny amiibo and Nintendo is awesome. And you know what? That's totally fine. I think that should have been in the original game, and you should be giving me other things that are more added value that weren't in the original game behind the amiibo. But
I understand what you think, and we can agree to disagree. I just like, at what point are you just like, Jesus Christ, like, just.
You're the minority opinion here, man.
I realize that, but
difference-
I'm just saying, like, it's crazy. Like, the amount of, you know what? One thing I will give you, like, when Samus Returns came out, like, locking the difficulty behind the Metroid amiibo, I thought that was like pretty lame.
That's also ridiculous.
This, I'm sorry, I don't.
I think the difference
I
here
don't
is
see
'cause
it.
I think the difference is because for you got enjoyment out of the desert, and you didn't really think that you
Yes.
needed
And maybe
anything else added onto the experience.
Exactly.
But
Whereas
then you two are sitting here saying that there is no enjoyment to be found with the soundtrack that there is or the atmosphere that there is. Dak, I know your opinion. Doom, please finish your thought.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Is so like I got very little value out of that desert. The addition of that music, it didn't fix all the issues, but it did like noticeably give me more value. As simple as it is, yes, having that music there gave me a lot more value out of that desert. And luckily, I'm an insane person that has 2 of each amiibo, so I am at no risk
Send me one,
of
bro.
losing out on these these features.
Fist metal radio,
But
okay?
most people are not going to go out of their way to buy those amiibos, and I think that for a lot of people are probably going to agree with Dak and I that is something.
100%,
Again,
yes.
wouldn't fix the dish.
You know,
fix the desert.
No.
but
People
would
are
probably
going to
increase their
tell me how
enjoyment.
wrong I am, and that's fine. You're right. Like I'm not trying to dismiss what you're saying. That enhances your experience, which is totally legitimate for both of you. But like, I guess I just feel like that's such a subjective take that like
It is.
at what
I agree with
point
that.
are we just like, well, my subjective opinion is fact that should be included in the game. You know, you guys are right though. Everyone's going to disagree with me and say that I'm a shill, and that's okay. That's just
How much you getting paid, man? I didn't realize that we were getting paid to do this show. Like, where's my cut? Is all I'm saying.
Shigeru Spiteri is still working at Nintendo. Okay?
I will say though. That if I enjoyed the Soul Valley experience more, then I probably wouldn't care. I think if it's something that stacks onto it is really my thing. like it's the sour cherry on top, so to speak. If I was already enjoying the experience, I'd be
I
like,
can
you know
get
what?
that. Yeah.
Fine. You know what? Leave the music out. Whatever. The fact that I'm already not enjoying it, and there's like one thing about it that would be, which I think Doom already said it. The one thing about it that would probably make it a little better. I got to buy $30 worth of plastic to get that done. I'm like, that should be in the base game, man. So that's where I'll leave it. I think there, and you know what, and I would even say that it also, there could have been an opportunity for better things for the amiibos to have instead of something that realistically should have been in the base game. But you know what, fine. I really will say that out of all the things that bother me about the desert and Soul Valley or whatever, is not that. It's really the gameplay experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I would agree. Like I didn't mean to get riled up about amiibo here. I'm sorry for.
Well, it's
for
fun to get
screaming.
riled. It's fun to get riled up a little bit, man. Come on,
But I will-
This is a passionate show.
I will say, like, I think both of your guys' critiques on the desert, yeah, I can buy that, like, totally. Like, I do think it would have been cooler to have like just like a sort of fast travel or faster travel just to get from point A to point B. So like I'm certainly I don't agree with the amiibo thing, but I guess I don't agree with some of your opinion, but I think they're very valid, and I think a lot of people would share those opinions and critiques. And your mileage is definitely going to vary based on like the vibes, because like I think that's not like an unfair
Mileage?
statement. What did I say? I'm sorry.
No. It was mileage, bike, Viola, and sorry, bad pun.
Oh, okay. I thought
He said the word right.
something again. Okay.
Milage or something, however they say it in Canada.
So like I think that your millage is going to depend on how much like vibes meet gameplay for you, and frankly, if you like the vibes of the desert at all, because like I do, but like I can totally appreciate like people that don't. You know, like I think that's fair, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I think Viola combat is like really fun. I don't.
And kind of going on the flip side of that, because I did mention them earlier, the Viola skins that you can unlock are very cool, and that is a very cool amiibo exclusive bonus that I'm
There
not
you go.
complaining about.
I have not scanned any of my amiibo yet, actually. So I've just been listening to that haunting theme. Doom, talk to us about the theme. Like, I'm assuming you're not a big fan of that theme, but it does feel like horror movie kind of vibes.
So I don't mind the theme in the right context. Like I said, when you first land in the Soul Valley without Viola and you're just kind of walking aimlessly in that desert, like I thought it really fit that area. I don't really think it fits kind of like riding this, badass motorcycle, almost Mad Max style throughout the desert. That's kind of where there's a tonal clash almost between the two. and it almost the music almost makes the desert feel even more empty when you're on the motorcycle. Again, for me at least, clearly not for you. I've seen some other people online who have really enjoyed the desert, honestly, genuinely happy. I hope more people, because at the end of the day, I don't want people to not like the game. I want people to get enjoyment of the game, even if I'm not able to reach that level. So I say more power to you. You know, if this desert is meeting all your expectations and you're having a blast with it. But yeah, it's very So there's a person in our Discord named Shu, and they actually did a review of this recently. And I actually really like the description that they used with kind of Metroid Prime soundtrack in general. And they kind of described it as, what if Ennio Morricone wrote a sci-fi western Metroid soundtrack? And that's kind of what this desert theme in particular reminds me of. It's very like the good, the bad, and the ugly, with like this ethereal sci-fi twist on it. You have these very low humming you have the low humming choirs in the background that are like soothing, but in a very like atonal presentation sort of way. And so I as a piece of ambient music, I actually think it's really well done. I just think it needs to be used in the right context is all.
I think that's fair.
I don't want to go back to the previous conversation. I just want to say that arguing about the amiibo is probably more fun than I've had playing this game.
Oh, come! You're saying that Soul Valley is not a top level right beside Voltforge for you in Metroid?
No, well, hey, it's a fight to the bottom out of these two levels here for me, to be quite honest with you.
I'm not going to say like this is a top area for me either. Although I do, I guess I don't know. Like, do you factor in the shrines and stuff like that into Soul Valley overall? I guess you probably do.
I think so. Yeah, I would. I certainly wouldn't put it at the bottom of the Great Metroid area ranking. I'll say that.
No, I wouldn't either, and I'm not gonna say I would put it near the top either. But I really do like the shrines, and I will say, like, I think that there's some like cool expansions. Like, yes, arguably there could be a lot more, but like some of the expansions, like, I wish there was more of this actually. Now that I'm gonna say it, but like that one expansion that you get just by like jumping off the ramp and the missiles like right in that little rock ring, that was pretty cool. And there's some like cool little hidden gems I feel like in Soul Valley as well, and also with like your companions that you later like get to encounter. But yeah, like I kind of thought I might be defending, not even defending. I kind of thought that I would be the one that maybe got the most enjoyment out of the desert, but certainly not perfect. Like if they do this idea again, which I think they should. I think you do just got to make it a little bit more interactive. I think it works for this context, but wouldn't like to see it again.
So here's the thing: I'm usually of the mind where it's like, hey, you know what, this didn't work good, but I like the idea. Let's, instead of just abandoning that wholesale, let's try again, refine it, and try to make it work this time. And that's usually how I feel. You know, that's how I feel with a lot of stuff in Metroid Other M, actually, where it's like, you know, most of the things in this game doesn't work, but there's a lot of really cool ideas that could be cool if they're done right. You know, like the melee combat, the finishers, potentially a more cinematic story if, you know, the voice acting and the dialogue and the plot was good. But with the bike, and normally I do feel the same way at the bike. I think there's a lot of potential for that. But I think with what Dak was saying later, if you're going to try something like this again, I would rather just kind of go back to Prime 3 and revisit the gunship and the command visor, because I feel like that could fulfill the same role and more. And I feel like taking on the gunship would just, at least for me, interest me a lot more. That to me feels even more ambitious, and that's kind of the direction I'd love to go. Either way, though, I'm not opposed to it, because I again, when it comes to the actual raw bike itself and the control, I do think I do think like it controls well, and I think there's definitely potential there for better level design.
It's definitely a good base, and I really don't think you have to do much more to make it more interesting. Like, at least for me, like, just give me some more options on the bike and give me more enemies and some more stuff to jump off of and maybe some more stuff to discover. Like, I really don't think that like there is like they need to do much to make it more compelling. That said, yeah, I do agree. Like, and we talked about this before the game came out, like how much we thought it would be cool to have, like, you know, the ship visor, the command visor come back, and I'm like, I should, even if it was the desert, like, let me pilot the ship and like drop some bombs around places and fly and do loops and all that kind of stuff, like, and barrel rolls and fight on top of the ship and all that kind of stuff. Like, that to me is what felt like would have been a natural progression for the series in terms of getting into vehicle combat because Samus already has a vehicle. So it's just very curious that this is like the way they went. And I guess because it is so fresh and new that they did start it in such a bare bones way, but I think it could be improved. Do I necessarily think that the next Metroid Prime game is going to have a bike with a desert in it? Probably not. But yeah, I think it's potential man for this game really, where there's a lot of potential for it and it doesn't really live up to it. But the base stuff is a cool novelty. It just leaves a bit to be desired, and it makes me think like, at the beginning of the game, everything gets sucked up. Where does Samus's ship go?
Hey, your guess is
to
fine.
to be fair, the ship flies off after she lands, so maybe it was out of the range.
I guess so,
okay.
but like that,
Okay.
but that big whatever happens, that takes up a big area, man. Like I just kind of thought that the ship, like I thought at one point Samus would kind of find her ship somewhere, and like get like a distress beacon or like see it like in the sand somewhere, and and you got access to the ship, and then you could use the ship to like go to the different areas quickly. But hey, I guess maybe for next time, I think that I do appreciate that they tried something new though, because I wasn't expecting this. Would I have rather them just go with the ship? Yes. But I think it's something to build on. I mean, ultimately, I would imagine that there's probably going to be either more open world elements or more vehicular stuff, or both in future games. So they're gonna build on it one way or another. I just hope they really try not to be. And again, I'm not gonna say like they're being safe intentionally. Maybe there was stuff like budget reasons or resources or development, hurdles or whatever it is, and maybe they had higher ambitions for it. I just hope that we get to see whatever those ambitions were, if they do exist.
I think like a good comparable for how you can do like an area like this with a vehicle, and Dak, you're gonna love this, but like Xenoblade Chronicles X actually has a mech that you can just like pop in and out of anytime you want to, and like you can fly and go up on top of like anything and do whatever you want, and like yeah, you can't fly off into space, but like other than that, like it's pretty much like you're
sick.
Yeah, you're pretty much able to go wherever. And that's like also does have a lot more enemies, which I don't think I would want for Soul Valley, but I do think that if you're going to try this like quasi open world gimmick again, which I think you should. I actually like, maybe one of my critiques is like this game kind of felt like it was really wanting to try something new, but also wanting to stick to what worked before, so it's in this weird middle ground. I think if you're going to go all in for next game, like all your areas are kind of open like Soul Valley, and you could have like your ship or like whatever, like that's not a bad comparable to start off with as like kind of a baseline for that, because like I see a lot of positives in Soul Valley, and I think I'm gonna be kind of the outlier here, but I see a lot of potential in this as well. So like I really do hope that, like, because I think that most people will kind of feel like you guys do, but I hope that they do take another kick at this and see like what can be improved upon.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Also agree with that.
Any other thoughts on Soul Valley amiibo? I feel so bad for yelling at you, Doom. I'm sorry.
No. We're all about. To be fair, like I was asking for violence there. Like I knew I was waiting because I knew that we were gonna get into it once I brought up the amiibo. So I came prepared. Don't you worry about it.
Hey, it's a great amiibo. Okay, if you can afford it, you should buy it. If not, you've got it on Nintendo Music, which I guess you need.
It's a really cool amiibo.
For. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so next week we are going to be going into the Ice Belt, and then we are going to Flare Pool. We got an action-packed week next week, so lots for Dak to catch up on here. Very interested to hear what your thoughts are going to be coming out of these areas. I will say, Doom, I don't know if you'd agree with this. I thought that Ice Belt and Flare Pool were both like a substantial step up from any area that we had been to. Maybe you're not thinking that because you really like Volt Forge, but I really liked it.
Ice Belt, yes. Flare Pool, aspects of it, yes. Which
okay.
we'll definitely get into.
Okay. I love it. And so that's going to be next week. And then the week after, we'll talk the great minds and maybe just like some odds and sods, like collections, pickups, I was gonna say like the artifact quest. You all know what I mean by that. And then the week after, we're talking about the end game. So only a few weeks to go until we get there. But lots of good stuff to come over and cover here on the show. So hey, let us know what you think about the amiibo situation. Okay, let me know at Blue Sky. My @ is Doominal Cross. So just slide into my DMs if you have any complaints. And I'll be happy to answer them, okay?
I will just say I apologize to any headphones users. Maybe we put a volume warning on this episode just so people aren't unprepared for what happens midway through the show.
I'll add it to the YouTube timestamps when I upload it.
Yes.
Put
your
fair
headphones. Take them out.
I will say I love like the pacing of what we're doing with the show because it's how I'm playing the game. Because now I'm like, all right, I have a week to do Ice Belt and Flare Pool or whatever it is, and it'll be fresh on my mind when we talk about it. So, shout out to us.
I'm gonna beat this game, like actually, like right now. Like as soon as we're done, I'm gonna go beat it, and so we'll see. The ending matters a lot to me on this game, so I'm really high on this game right now. We'll see what happens with the end. Maybe tomorrow is a different week, and I'm ready to say everything sucks. I don't know, but I'm looking
We'll be
forward
awaiting
to
that
it.
DM from you because I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on the ending.
Yeah, I'll let you know. And I'll probably restart the game on hard mode because I am a sicko. So I will do that and get that going as well. So yeah, all right. Well there it is, folks. Our thoughts on Volt Forge, Soul Valley. We'd love to know what your thoughts are on the areas. If you're team Andy, you want to take the David side, or if you're team Goliath, team Dak and Doom here with your thoughts on Soul Valley and Volt Forge as well. Doom says it's one of the top areas in Metroid. So hey, let us know what you think. We covered a lot of other stuff: amiibo, the map, the Zelios boss fight, the fake Silex boss fight. Let us know what you think about all that. We've had like crazy discussion in our Discord lately, so it's never been a better time to join and get in on those conversations. So make sure that you are doing that. Okay, last call. Final thoughts before we get out of here, guys.
I might just muted. No, I don't have anything.
Says it all. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Go like and subscribe and rate and recommend, review, and honestly recommend us to a Metroid fan in your life. Maybe this is their first Metroid game. Maybe they're a lifelong Metroid fan and don't know about this podcast. Either way, tell them about this show. We're doing this weekly. Every Wednesday, new episodes are coming out. Tell them about OmegaMetroid.com. We are an independent website. We are covering the latest Metroid news, Metroid fan news, Metroid thought pieces. There is Metroid guides for every game. We are actively working on Metroid Prime 4 right now. So tons and tons and tons of stuff over on OmegaMetroid.com. Plus our YouTube page as well if you want to watch these videos in podcast form, or these podcasts are in video form. You could see us shout at each other as we do these episodes. So go and do a subscription to us over there as well. Plus there's some video walkthroughs there if you're playing like AM2R or Metroid Fusion, anything like that. So give us some love over on YouTube. We do have a Patreon, patreon.com/spnet. So we have a lot of Metroid stuff over there. Every single area ranked in a series called the Great Metroid Area Ranking. Gooey Plays Metroid, the finale of Nestroid just dropped right now. He's playing that game for the very first time. ROM hack reviews. There is so much stuff over on Patreon. Plus a lot of Zelda stuff too, some video game movie stuff if you like that as well. And lastly, give us a follow over on Blue Sky. I am at Spiteri316, at Dak City, at Doominal Cross. That is going to do it for us, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you back here next week when we cover Flare Pool and Ice Belt. Until then, my friends, take care.